Thank you everyone for joining us today in the first episode of a new series in which we hope to interview major personalities and figures in the technology, media and telecom world. The idea is to have a more in-depth discussion around the trends in the TMT space in technology and digital transformation, but also to delve into the life and career of the person we're interviewing in every episode. And we are actually starting with a bang today. Very proud to have with us Nassib Abou-Khalil today. Naseeb is the Chief Legal Officer of Nokia. Nokia is obviously one of the largest tech companies in the world. And I don't want to start by making Naseeb blush, but I always tell him that he is definitely one of the 3, 4, if not 2 top chief legal officers in the region. He has had a spectacular career, and for him to become essentially the global general counsel of one of the largest tech companies in the world is something I'm proud of, actually, as a fellow Arab and someone working in Dubai and in the region. So welcome, Naseeb.
Thank you very much, Nasser, and thank you for having me today. I'm very honored to be the first person joining this series of interviews, and I'm very excited, and I hope that we can make it as interesting, as exciting to the people who will be listening to us.
Thanks a lot, Naseeb. I'm sure. I want to start with Nokia, with the role of Chief Legal Officer. You've been about a year in that role. A major responsibility. If you can just take us through a day in the life of Naseeb. I mean, what does it involve being in that role?
Wow, that's a very difficult question because not one day is like the other. I think that one of the things that you have to learn very quickly when you step into a role like this is the fact that you have to deal with numerous new situations on a daily basis. You have to manage a lot of ambiguity, and you have to build the capability and the ability to make decisions with as little information as possible. Unlike when I was a junior lawyer, where I had the luxury of really diving deep into every detail of every matter that I worked on, here, I need to really be very, very focused and dive deep, but only on the areas that are very important or crucial or critical for making the decision. So this situation puts you in a position where you have to shift focus very quickly and very frequently during the same day, guiding, drawing conclusions, making decisions. And the difficulty, of course, is that these decisions could have a very meaningful impact. The decisions could have a meaningful impact on the livelihoods of hundreds of thousands of people, on the stock price of the company, on a number of areas that are of major importance. So I think stepping into this role, I feel the weight of this responsibility. I don't take it lightly. And I feel I take this responsibility very seriously, and I feel that this ability to constantly shift focus from one area to the other is what you really need to be able to do in a role like this, because not a single day is like the other.
Absolutely. I remember a long time ago, I was in-house myself and at a much junior level at the time. And, you know, we used to call them clients, basically the day-to-day stakeholders that we dealt with. And I presume in this role, who would you say are your day-to-day clients? Other, of course, the company itself and essentially the interest of the company, but your day-to-day dealings center around whom would you say?
Well, naturally, I report to the CEO, and the CEO is my primary quote unquote client. We also still call them clients. This hasn't changed from the day you've been in-house.
Ancient history.
Not so ancient, Nasser, not so. please. uh, and also, obviously, every member of the leadership team of the company I work with very intimately and very closely, ranging from our CFO to our head of strategy to the presidents of our business to our head of HR. I'm not saying that I am the person that is solely accountable for supporting each and every one from the global leadership team. I have a team of people reporting to me who have that primary responsibility, but we work in close collaboration in a very non-hierarchical manner, and we complement each other working with the leadership team and with other people in the company. And not just the leadership team, I work with other individuals across really the board from every level of this organization, from the organization. And I take pride in being able to do that as chief legal officer, because I feel that it keeps me close to the operations of the organization and of the company. And I don't feel disconnected or living in a tower on my own.
I wouldn't want to ask a trick question, but what would you say is the most enjoyable aspect of your work in the last year?
Wow, that is not a trick question at all, actually. The reality is, and it sounds, I don't want to sound a little, I don't know, I don't want to sound as if I'm not speaking the truth, but I think that I really enjoy almost every aspect of my job. What makes the job interesting is that all of this complexity and all of these high-stake issues become intriguing areas to be able to spend time analyzing and working on and evaluating. And just the mere fact that I'm making decisions that are actually impactful and hopefully helpful for the company is truly what makes me wake up every morning. I wake up with that mission in my mind. What can I do today to help Nokia? What can I do today to help my team? How impactful can I be today in advancing Nokia's business and Nokia's mission? How impactful can I be today in improving the work life of my team? And how can I support them better? And this has generated in me a sort of drive and passion that practically makes every moment of my job enjoyable. I know it sounds like I am not telling the truth, but actually it is the truth.
So Naseeb, I wondered, both obviously in your role and as a company, how would you say law firms have reacted to the challenges that you face, the day-to-day challenges and the more strategic issues that you face?
Well, listen, Nasser, honestly, I'm going to be very candid with you here and tell you that I consider myself and my team to be very fortunate. And the reason why I think that we're very fortunate is because we don't have outside counsel that treat us in a way where we feel that they are disconnected from us and from our business. If I may use the word intimate, I think our outside counsel have developed very intimate knowledge of our business, of our needs, of how we work and how we operate, and have maintained an ongoing dialogue with us to understand what we need and to understand how to better deliver results that are meaningful and impactful for us as a legal team and for Nokia as a business. And that includes you, obviously. You're one of the law firms that we have a very intimate relationship with, that we value. And from that perspective, I truly feel that the law firms that we have chosen to partner with have been proactive in reaching out to us, in sharing advice, in sharing guidance. But also, when we needed them, they immediately understood the situations that we're dealing with the challenges that we were facing and what kind of solutions we were hoping to achieve. And the reason why they're able to do that is because they know us. As I said, we've developed relationships that are truly and genuinely based on a deep exchange of knowledge and information and true partnerships. And that's what's been valuable for us.
I want to move now, Naseeb, to trends in the technology, media, and telecom space. So no question around this issue can be complete in this era, strange era we're living in, without addressing the COVID-19 challenge. So I would be really interested in your views on the key trends you're seeing, both generally and as a company, and particularly in the context of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things going on and happening in the telecommunication world right now. Obviously, we are at a time where we're seeing the first 5G networks going live, and this is truly a very, very exciting time. We've all heard a lot about 5G and how 5G will transform industrialization and how 5G will transform communications. And this is truly an exciting time in the telecommunications sector. But that we've heard a lot about, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about 5G. There are other things that are happening in the telecommunications world, either in terms of remotization, in terms of use of artificial intelligence to deliver better services and to better service networks, or in terms of virtualization. That's speaking from a pure technology perspective. Just to mention, for example, if you have read some of what's been discussed on vRAN and ORAN, open radio access networks and virtual radio access networks. Those two technology trends or developments where we're talking about how networks can integrate equipment from various vendors and how you can move certain elements of the networks to the clouds are really interesting discussions that are happening right now in the industry. But not just that. I mean, if we look at COVID-19 and what has COVID-19 taught us, some of the things that we've witnessed during COVID-19, and I'll look at my notes here just to share some facts. If for fixed CSPs, streaming traffic increased by 300% in the first week of the quarantine, mainly driven by YouTube and Netflix, and causing an overall 200% increase in traffic. Applications needed to work remotely, such as WebEx or Skype for business, also experienced a huge increase in traffic, 1,000% and 600% respectively. Gaming traffic increased by 600%. Just to give you an idea how important infrastructure and telecommunications have become at this time, and not just to help us work and talk to each other, but also technology. We're seeing more and more technology being used in order to, or being considered rather, not necessarily used, but considered and used in order to control the pandemic. If you think about the number of applications that governments are launching, and all of these technologies are based on things like geolocation and connecting health data to subscriber data and various types of informations that are drawn from the personal data of individuals and also from their use of networks and their use of telecommunications. So there's a lot going on, and all of this obviously is both opportunities for us lawyers and challenges. We need to think outside the box to understand what legal issues all of these technologies bring. And also we need to be able to foresee what the impact of these technologies could have, not just from a legal perspective, but on society, on human rights. So we think about things like, the responsible use of artificial intelligence. That's why at Nokia we have established a board for ethical artificial intelligence. We think about the human rights impact of the use of these technologies. That's why we have a policy that looks at the human rights impact of technology. We have to think about what it means for the telecommunications industry and what it means for the sustainability of our business to engage and be part of some of these new trends. So a lot of questions, a lot of things to think about, a lot of detailed analysis, but all truly engaging and exciting.
Well, that was a great overview, Naseeb, of the trends and sort of touching on 5G, ethical AI. So it was really interesting to hear that. Moving it more sort of towards your team and the day-to-day, how has COVID-19 affected you and the way you work with your colleagues? From my side, this is my almost 3 months now of working from home. And it's generally worked very well. I think we're lucky as a profession that we can work from home. We are in a unique position. I do miss the more sort of personal interaction every now and again. So I am one of those looking forward to at least a partial return to the office. How have you seen it, and how's your day-to-day been?
Yeah, I'm just like you, Nasser. I do miss the personal interaction, and I'm hoping to be able to be at the offices rather than at the office sometime soon. I think that this has brought us closer together, honestly. The time that I used to use traveling, I've invested getting to know my team better and getting to know them one-to-one. So one of the things that I've done when I started this quarantine period, I've decided to do a one-to-one with each and every person in the entire legal and compliance team at Nokia. That's hundreds of calls, but that gave me an opportunity to meet the few individuals that I hadn't met, and to get to know each person at an individual level. And I felt truly blessed because the people in the team gave me the time, opened their hearts, shared generously. And I felt that after each call that I've managed to build a very strong bond with each individual that I spoke to. And honestly, I cannot describe how grateful and happy I felt. Despite the lockdown and being at home 24 hours a day, I felt as if I was traveling the world, starting my days sometimes at 6 in the morning with calls with New Zealand and ending at 10, 11 at night with calls in Argentina. So it was like a virtual trip around the world. And truly it gave me first-hand, real, tangible insight on how people were living this pandemic and how people felt. I felt connected. I felt that I understood the situations that some people were going through, the difficulties that they were going through. And I felt that I learned about them enough to be able to share key messages and to share insights and to bring the entire team together as a community that is spread around the globe. And that was truly remarkable.
Well, that's fascinating, actually, Naseeb, this point about, in a sense, one misses the personal interaction in the office, but this really resonated with me, what you said, that the last 3 months working from home and with the use of video conferencing and networks, I just felt you could actually get to know people a bit more, actually, even though, because before we're traveling everywhere and spending time and maximizing personal interaction, but actually with these sort of contraptions that we're dealing with today, I just felt you actually spent more time with people and having more meaningful conversations on many levels. So that's fascinating. I want to move now to an area that is very close to your heart. I know very well, and also very close to Nokia's heart, which is diversity and inclusion. And I know it's very important for you. I know it's very important for Nokia, but if you can sort of describe to us, how is that sort of diversity and inclusion agenda at the heart of the Nokia mission, and how you as an organization live it and try to take it further and move it further every day?
I think that inclusion is part of what we do on a daily basis. We are determined at Nokia, and I am personally determined to do everything that is within my power to ensure that we have a truly inclusive workplace. You have to start with inclusion. Without inclusion, you cannot achieve diversity. Inclusion is the first step, an essential cornerstone to building a diverse culture. One does not go without the other. And at Nokia, we have the ambition to achieve both. And I have the ambition to achieve both. And to be honest and candid with you, my ambition doesn't stop at Nokia. As you know, I've engaged with you as a law firm on how I see inclusion and diversity, and what we expect from you as our partners on inclusion and diversity. So we don't want to only create a Nokia that is inclusive and diverse. We want to create a legal profession that is inclusive and diverse. We want to influence a corporate world that is inclusive and diverse. We want to have a world that is inclusive and diverse. So our ambition is very, very big. But we start with ourselves, of course. We start with ourselves. One of the things that I have done when I became Chief Legal Officer is that I've defined 3 strategic pillars for my organization. Inclusion and diversity is one of them. Recently, a couple of months ago, actually, we've started working together as a team to give some life to those strategic pillars. And we have created an inclusion and diversity committee across the legal and compliance organization. People volunteered, and we have about 15 people from all over the world who volunteered to join the committee. And together, we are thinking about ways to make Nokia a more inclusive workplace and a more diverse workplace, about ways to influence the legal profession so that there's a greater focus on inclusion and diversity. And I can tell you that we are doubling our focus now during the times of COVID-19. So I am in the process of taking some steps that you will hear about very soon, and we will be making some announcements as well that you will hear about very soon, that will shed a bit more light on truly pragmatic steps that we are taking in order to advance inclusion and diversity in the workplace at Nokia and also with our partners and also within the legal profession. For me, inclusion and diversity is not a buzzword. It's about actions. And we can only, and I can only be measured by the actions that I take and by the decisions that I make. So it's critical to be able to demonstrate and to show how we are advancing inclusion and diversity, and this is what we aim at doing.
That's a great answer and approach, and as I said, I know how closely committed you are to that, and this tallies with our objectives as well in Eversheds Sutherland to make diversity and inclusion at the heart and center of all our plans and objectives. And that was a truly inspiring answer, Naseeb. And this takes me actually to the next level, moving from the corporate to the personal. I mean, I wanted to set the scene really for talking about you and how you've made it so far, and you know, so big in your career. And I want to link it actually to something that's again I know is very close to both of us, young lawyers out there. I mean, I was talking to one of my colleagues today who's mentoring a lawyer, a young lawyer, and he was telling me how, you know, this young lawyer is very afraid, you know, someone who's about to finish university and is just very afraid about the future, seeing the challenges. I think there's dual or triple challenges. If you look at it, there's the COVID challenge, economic challenge that we're all facing. And then there's also, you know, automation, digitalization, and whether that reduces the need, especially for younger lawyers or researchers, etc. So, I mean, let's start by looking at your career. What lessons would you say you've learned from sort of your trajectory? And, you know, I've been very close to your career for the last 12 years, and I've seen you go from strength to strength. What lessons would come most to your mind when you look at your career?
I think that if I think about my career, honestly, I think it's the desire to constantly learn new skills, learn new industries, learn new things. This thirst for knowledge, this thirst for always rethinking the way I do things, rethinking the way I think about problems, reinventing my approach to being a lawyer. I think that's what's really been the driver behind my career. If I think, I mean, the biggest mistake anyone could make in a career is to think, I'm senior enough and so I can stop learning. Learning in a career is a continuous thing. There's always new things that you can learn. There are always new ideas that one can explore and develop. And this continuous self-doubt, not in a negative way, but rather in a positive way, where you're saying, looking at yourself and saying, what can complement what I have right now? That I think has been very, very helpful in my career, from my perspective.
Yeah, what I found very interesting there is this focus on learning, and it's really something I've tried very hard to impart to younger lawyers whenever I see them, and actually lawyers across the board, as you said. Learning doesn't stop. And actually, I mean, you and I are, let's say, known as TMT lawyers in a general sense, let's say. But actually what I'm always telling lawyers wherever I go, like things like data, you know, privacy issues, you know, Internet of Things, digitalization, or cloud computing, wherever you are, in whichever practice group you are, you have to learn and look into these things. And the internet is like it's a global university. There's so many courses out there, so many things you can watch to constantly learn and read, etc. And I just find that extremely important.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I can say that there isn't a day that goes by when I don't learn something, honestly. Every day I'm learning something either about a legal development, about the technological development, about our business, about our industry. And this, when I spoke earlier about my job and what makes it exciting and what makes me interested in it, you asked me to talk about what does a day look like. And I said, there isn't a day that looks like the other. It's pretty unpredictable what a day will look like at the end of the day. But I think that this desire to learn, this endless curiosity is truly an empowering tool, because I think that's what gives you what equips you to be able to manage the ever constant changing environment that we end up being in positions like this and in roles like this, particularly in the world that we're in.
One thing is mentoring, and I know you're a good mentor. I'm not going to name them by names, but I can think of at least 3 lawyers who will attribute a lot of their career advancement to working with you in your various roles. I mean, do you consciously think of mentoring and think of ways to do it? So what advice would you give to people who want to be good mentors?
No, I don't consciously think of it. I have to be very honest with you. I don't. And the reason why I don't consciously think of it is because I'm truly, genuinely committed to the development of the career of people around me and people who are part of my team and people who have crossed paths with me. It's something that I do with real passion. Sometimes I not even asked to do it. I just volunteer. That's not always welcome, but generally, I think that I learn from others. There are people who guide me. There are people who give me direction in life, and these people also give me direction and guidance for my career. And I think it's only human and natural to have this this generosity to give back. I benefit from this generosity, and I have benefited from this generosity throughout my career, and I feel that it's not a duty, it's not a responsibility, it's purely a sheer pleasure to be able to share with others, and hopefully they'll find it useful, hopefully they'll find it meaningful, hopefully they'll find that it will help their career and help their development. Honestly, it's something that I do with an immense pleasure.
Continuing the journey from the corporate to the personal, I want to end with sort of presenting more of Naseeb, the non-lawyer, the non-legal person, as it were, to our viewers. I know you have many passions that drive you a lot, drive you to travel around the world. So if you can tell us about 1 or 2 things that you are most passionate about outside the law.
Right, gladly, Nasser. I just want to correct a misconception that there isn't a Naseeb that is a non-lawyer, unfortunately. As my partner and my family always say, can you stop being a lawyer for 5 minutes and talk to us like a human being? And I said, well, what does that mean? I don't know what's the difference. But that aside, I do have a few passions, and those passions really bring enormous joy to my life, and I think that they contribute to that sense of harmony and just happiness that I have in my life. And those passions are my quote unquote addiction to opera and classical music, and my deep passion for contemporary art and collecting. So when I have time, and I try to make the time actually, you'll find me at the Opera House. Some of my favorite music is, Verdi, of course, but what I'm truly passionate about is Wagner. I'm pretty disappointed this year because I was hoping to see the New Ring Cycle at the Bayreuth Festival in July, but it's been cancelled and postponed. There are worse problems in the world right now, so that's perfectly fine. I won't say that it's the worst thing, but it is disappointing for the artists, for the people who have put their heart and soul to bring those performances together. And the second place where you'll find me when I'm not working is at an art fair or at an art gallery or at a museum, exploring, discovering new artists, or even at the artist studio, speaking to them about their work, about the narrative behind it, having debates, having discussions, having conversations, thinking about the meaning of art in life, the meaning of art during this crisis, the role of art in society. So those are my passions.
I know also that within the art world, you're from the region, Naseeb, from Lebanon, and worked in Dubai for a long time, but I think your art interest takes you both within the region and outside, and I think you're involved in a lot of initiatives in that space.
Yes, I mean, I have started collecting art, and my interest in art started in the region. So I bought my art piece from an art gallery here in Dubai, but then my interest in art has taken me around the world, and my collection now comes from many, many countries. Less than half of it is Middle Eastern. As the collection expanded, it grew over periods and over geographies and mediums. So I'm not only collecting paintings and photographs now, but I have sculptures, collages, installations, videos, all sorts of things. And I try also to do my best to contribute to the development of young artists, and also to work with museums, institutions, foundations, galleries, all sorts of people in the art world to bring whatever I can bring, and also to support in any way that I can, as I personally think that art is important for society, especially art that has an impact and a meaning, and art that brings people together.
Well, that's really wonderful, and actually a wonderful note to end this conversation. We could talk for hours, but what you just said about supporting young artists, I think, is very much in line with what I know you've done to support young lawyers in the region and beyond. It's been a huge pleasure having you with us, Naseeb, today, and I wish you all the best. And maybe you can come back if this series keeps going on and on. We can have you again as a guest. It'll be a pleasure.
Thank you very much, Nasser. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and I look forward to listening to the series in the future and learning from other colleagues about their experiences, their passions. And I look forward to our continued partnership, working on things that truly matter to us, like inclusion, diversity, the new legal issues in the space of technology, and really bringing young lawyers together, thinking about and shaping the legal profession for the future.